It's called the Learning Skills Unit, and the Learning Skills Unit really helps students, usually one-on-one, but also in group workshops, but mainly one-on-one, with improving the quality of their work that they're submitting for assignments. So we're really in the business, in the message is, come to us and we'll assist you to improve. The focus is for improvement and a quality of assignment according to the Central Queensland University quality checks that we do, and particularly to make sure that students reference properly, do thorough research before they make their presentations or write their assignments, and of course grammar and syntax and the like, spelling and format are appropriate also. Now, you might wonder what sort of students come along to see us. We have outstanding students who often get the Campus Directors Award, some who freak if they get less than a high distinction in their assignment. Please find anything wrong with my assignment, because they're very keen to be very thorough and have wonderful standards there, through down to students who are struggling, some of whom have even been sent to us. We call them at-risk students, or students that are on a special monitoring program where they've been recommended to be assisted, and we're part of that program. And we have a regular meeting with them, just one-on-one, and usually with the same tutor. We've got a lot of tutors, including tutors in maths and stat, because some of them struggle in that. And then they get half-hour, sometimes 1 hour appointment to assist them in their preparation and their work. We check the quality. We don't mark it. We don't give them a grade. We can't say to them, this is worth a lot of marks, because that's done by the tutor. We're simply in the process, sort of like a bridge between helping the student understand what they have to do, so unpacking the assignment, knowing what to do, is sometimes a conversation we'll have with them early in the process, through to, wow, that's a marvellous presentation, that looks a really good quality assignment, we hope you do well, come back and tell us the mark you get. And so it really varies through that. That's the written assignments. We also help with oral presentations, sometimes a group, 3 or 4, they're usually in a group for oral presentation, will come along and we'll again help them unpack what they have to do, give them advice on even how to make their PowerPoint presentation effective with some Photoshop information, maybe a little video clip, making sure that their PowerPoint is really simple, just bold type, 3 or 4 dot points on a page, basic things like that, which some of them haven't thought about. And then to even get them to speak at the other end of a small room, so that they're learning about the quality, and English is my second language, but helping them to say, you can do it, come on, smile now, enjoy it. And usually with maybe 5 or 10 practices, as many as that, they'll come away saying, oh wow, I got a good mark and I know what to do. And when you think about it, many of our students will be involved in boardroom meetings, even family discussions and so on, for their whole lives. So it's a lifelong learning process. They're learning in their writing and certainly in their oral presentations and the discussion that they have. Another component that we have is a series of workshops. There's one on oral presentations, it's a booklet about it. There's another one on, particularly very important, on Harvard referencing. And there's some others on researching, which the library helps us with. There's another one on basic essay writing, and it's very practical. It's about an hour's presentation of the information, and then the students have to actually, in the 2-hour session, usually in a lab or a classroom, of course, they then do some practical exercises. So that we can be fairly certain that they have not only just attended and participated in the program, but they've actually learnt something and demonstrated that they can do it. Probably the most common assignment that these days in our work, because a lot of our students are, if you like, in the business school sort of area. There's some multimedia, some IT, but a lot of students in accounting or business type subjects. And as a consequence, the report is vital. Report still has the same format with the classical critical thinking aspects, positives, negatives, limitations, good points, and so on, a good quality discussion, but particularly with recommendations at the end where they're saying, now this is what I want to sell, this is the information that the tutor needs to know, this is the information that this whole assignment is drilled down to, so that these are the 3, 4, 5, 10 ideas that the assignment needs to demonstrate. And we find they are very important, because many students, nearly all students, particularly at the master's level, are doing reports. Certainly at the doctoral level, that's the format and the quality of what's expected.
Actually, it's English. So they mainly they go through the things we don't understand, difficult words or new things, and they teach us how to, if it is an essay, how to do an essay, how to write an essay. If it is a report, they have the structures for report. So they go through everything, and we can make appointments with them, and we can, as we progress, so they also, we can go for them, and they will check the assignment for you, and yeah, ultimately we can get a good result for the assignments.
The learning skills unit and the client services are perhaps the best ones that international students can have. Because I come from a different background, I understand the value of it very much, and I appreciate it very much. When there is an assignment coming through or any assessment coming through, I usually ask the students to bring and show me a rough draft of what they have in mind, their plan. That is the time I use to tell them, I think you need to go here to get some assistance to improve this, because this is not what is expected here. This is what you did back home, but this is what we want here. Go to the academic services assistants to get it. 2, when students come to me on a one-to-one basis and seek help, that's the time I try to find out if they have any additional personal issues. And sometimes I walk them to the client services, introduce them to the staff there, and tell them, this is a very good student, but seems to have some problem, could you look into it? So I address these 2 issues immediately, because we have valuable services available here. I think international students should make use of them.
Learning skills unit support is very important, and it's important at all levels. It's important at the level of the student who is really struggling with assignments or reports, or simply their study strategy. But it's also very important for those students who are already at a credit or a distinction level and want to be at distinction or high distinction level. And they're just as welcome with the learning skills unit as those who are having the struggle. And the materials and the support that they have there, the availability of having a one-on-one discussion or a two-on-one discussion with somebody trained in the discipline is extremely valuable. And I've had the experience over the last few weeks of actually showing through new academics and showing them in the learning skills unit. And to put it colloquially, most of the people I've taken down there are gobsmacked at what's available to students in the learning skills unit and the student support group, the student services, where they look up more to the welfare of students and deal with family crises or personal crises, financial crises, etc. That sort of support is really invaluable to international students, and most mainstream universities just can't meet what the standard we've set.
Student services are there to be a listening ear, and the key thing is to actually come down to us. Don't be afraid of student services, because we want to help. Don't leave it too late. So come down, have a chat with one of our advisors or myself, and we'll steer you in the right direction. And if it's if there's family issues, if it's a severe issue, we'll make a referral to a qualified counsellor outside. So we have support services to assist in critical cases. Yeah. Student services are always being proactive and monitoring students at the campus, seeing how they're going and progressing. And in some cases we'll actually see that some students may be not performing as we would like them to see, in achieving their goals. So we'll actually give them a call and say, what's happening, come in, let's have a talk and discuss what issues might be, and how we can help you achieve your goals.
Go to all your classes unless you really are very unwell. And before you go to your class, find the chapter in the textbook or the reading on the website that is going to be discussed that week, because if you read it even a little bit before you go, when you hear the information, it won't be the first time, it'll be easy. Go to all your classes unless you really are very unwell. And before you go to your class, find the chapter in the textbook or the reading on the website that is going to be discussed that week. Because if you read it even a little bit before you go, when you hear the information, it won't be the first time, it'll be easier for you to absorb it. When you're leaving the class, if you take 10 minutes to look over the notes that you've made or that you've been given, you'll remember that information for a lot longer. So I would say the key to performing really well is prepare for the class, review the class, and then also review before the exam.
Every week before I go to classes, I will just look through what's in this week, what topics we'll be talking about in the class. And then I just do a quick preview and then mark down all the points where I don't quite understand, and then I can ask either in the lecture or maybe more questions in the tutorial.
Firstly, you get the most by turning up to all of them. That's the best advice I can give anybody. Lectures are, for a lecturer, you're going to come in and it's an intense 1 hour or maybe 2 where you're going to get given lots of information. There's a lot to take down. You hopefully will have read up your chapter notes before you get to the class, so you know what's going to be the subject of the lecture. There's not very much time for questions, and it's more taking on board what the lecturer's trying to tell you and get their experiences behind all the information they're giving you. When you get to a tutorial, it's a chance to get into some groups with students. There's a chance to ask all the questions you've got from your lecture, anything you don't understand, put your own point across. Lecturers will ask for your own experience, which is fantastic to get experiences from everybody, particularly if there's other students who, like myself, maybe have a lot of work experience where they can put your own experiences across, but just to get a feel for things from different parts of the world as well. And tutorials are the most important, but you'll get the most information from them, and they're the point to get the most enjoyment from as well.
I think there's a couple of things you can do. You have to have a friendly environment, and you have to say that no question is a silly question. If the student can't understand something, usually 5 or 6 other students don't know that either, and you're brave for asking it. You're not wrong, so no one will ever laugh at you. You're actually brave. That's very good to ask a question. 2, sometimes we just start with simple questions, and sometimes the teachers will actually use a provocative point of view. So they might say something silly. So we've got one teacher, when he's teaching economics, to get a response, he'll say, monopolies are good.
Like in my case, even in the beginning, I don't really know how to answer all those questions, but if I read them a few times, every few days, I can feel like all the pieces are coming together, yeah, and yes, I don't think those assessments are very difficult, but definitely they require a good preparation and a significant amount of time.
I think sometimes the students probably don't realise that the teachers sit there, and even when I've had to teach the subject 3 or 4 times a year over the last 10 years, I would still prepare for the lesson and read through and look at the cases, and I would get ready to go in to make sure I understand it. And I think some of the students would be surprised at how much preparation a teacher does who knows the subject. If you want to get the best out of a subject, and I learned this from teaching overseas students, a lot of the good overseas students actually want to know what chapter we're doing next week, what we're reading next week, what other books are good at that. If you can read those things beforehand, you don't want, when we come to the difficult concept in the class, there will be some easy ones, but when you get to the difficult concept in the class, you want to know the jargon already, and you don't want to be struggling with the language and the concept when we're trying to understand the concept.